Let's test the anti-pinch function. Alright. Ah, really? Did it pinch your hand? Many friends are concerned about my hand. I wrapped it with ice for half a day, and it should be okay now. Recently, Zhou Hongyi, founder of the Chinese internet giant, the 360 company, experienced an accident while testing the scissor doors of the Haobo model under the domestic electric vehicle brand GAC Aion. The scissor doors, which are supposed to have an anti-pinch function, malfunctioned and closed directly. Zhou Hongyi screamed in pain after his hand was pinched, and staff immediately apologized. Zhou could only use ice to alleviate the pain. Staff conducted a second test afterward, but the anti-pinch function still failed to activate. Haobo's customer service responded by saying, the mechanism might not be very sensitive, or his hand was placed in a particularly unusual spot, so it wasn't recognized. As a prominent tech figure, Zhou Hongyi has been publicly endorsing Chinese electric vehicles recently, urging society to embrace the new era and buy domestically produced new energy vehicles. As a result, various manufacturers have sent their mainstream electric cars to the 360 company building for Zhou to experience. However, since their inception, Chinese electric vehicle brands have frequently been plagued with quality issues and have not proven to be as reliable as advertised. Amid widespread discussions, China's overproduction of electric vehicles has led to a price war. By aggressively cutting costs, this has caused severe quality problems. At the same time, Western regulatory bodies have suddenly discovered another secret. Chinese electric vehicles are also an excellent means of collecting personal information. Since 2015, then Chinese Premier Li Keqiang has introduced the Made in China 2025 strategy, aiming to transform China from a manufacturing giant to a manufacturing powerhouse within 10 years and surpass industrial giants like Germany and Japan by 2035. In recent years, the Chinese government has heavily promoted networked and intelligent products, including 5G, Huawei, and surveillance cameras. At the same time, they have vigorously promoted the development of new energy vehicles. With substantial government subsidies, the market for electric vehicles in China has grown at an astonishing rate. Therefore, in the current national competition for electric vehicles, China leads in both production and sales numbers. Due to the low entry threshold for the electric vehicle market, many Chinese companies have joined the production line. According to China's Ministry of Industry and Information Technology, over 50 companies in China were manufacturing new energy vehicles in 2023. Most new market entrants are primarily attracted by generous subsidies. Once they have actually entered the market, they realize that creating electric or hybrid vehicles is far more challenging than anticipated. However, the government, perhaps for political reasons, has not allowed them to stop. In China, the Chinese government uses the internet, cameras, artificial intelligence, and big data analysis to conduct large-scale surveillance of every corner and every person in China. Those living in China have no privacy, and the scale and methods of surveillance are unmatched globally. Now, with the export of Chinese-made electric products, China's surveillance capabilities have infiltrated the rest of the world. A few years ago, the world finally saw China's intentions to collect data, leading to the restriction of Chinese 5G, the ban on Huawei phones, and the removal of Chinese-made cameras last year. However, they failed to notice another burgeoning espionage tool flooding into Western societies, that is, electric vehicles. Currently, China's electric vehicle production capacity far exceeds domestic demand, but continues to expand at an alarming rate. By 2025, it is estimated there will be nearly 20 million surplus vehicles, which will be exported worldwide, heightening concerns about China's electric vehicle export, leading to a price-cutting war. Since the end of last year, Western countries have finally realized that the global proliferation of Chinese electric vehicles poses not only quality issues and impacts on international market, but, more critically, that China could use electric vehicles for surveillance. The European Council on Foreign Relations warned that the security challenges posed by Chinese electric vehicles in many ways are more significant and more challenging to address than the 5G network. In a report titled The Risk of Chinese Electric Vehicles in Europe, Jenka Ortel, head of the ECFR Asia program, pointed out that some may think Europeans should thank Chinese cars for their generous subsidies, allowing Europe to transition to low-carbon travel more quickly and cheaply. German automakers might face consequences for holding on to their internal combustion engine technology advantage. However, he warned that these views ignore the speed at which Chinese car models are being introduced and the challenges that widespread adoption of Chinese cars in Europe might bring. They also overlook the potential geopolitical impacts of having Chinese electric vehicles on European roads. The think tank ECFR also pointed out that Chinese-made electric cars are already collecting data to train AI for autonomous driving. The behavior of drivers and passengers is monitored, and sensors track the surrounding environment. This raises serious concerns about who controls this data and software updates, as it could threaten national security, cybersecurity, and personal privacy. In 2022, Tor Industøy, Vice President of Risk Management and Threat Intelligence at Norway's leading telecom provider, Telenor ASA, bought a $69,000 Chinese electric car, the NIO ES8 SUV, for testing. He found that 90% of the communication data was sent back to China. Experts from Industøy's research team noted that among the data on the privacy and security risks of Chinese-made electric cars, little is made public. Electric vehicles use various kinds of chips to control everything from tire pressure to navigation and battery management, all of which can collect data. An electric car can use 2,000 to 3,000 chips, double that of a fuel car. The team also found some other potential issues. One concern is the way data flows in and out of the vehicles. Researchers said that about 90% of the communications, including simple voice commands, in the vehicle's location were sent to China. Other destinations included Germany, the US, the Netherlands, Switzerland, among several others. Another concern is the lack of transparency in communication. For example, researchers found that the vehicle continuously downloaded unencrypted files from official sources, but they haven't yet figured out the purpose. There is also a camera embedded in the rearview mirror. The user manual suggests it is part of a driver fatigue detection system, but Industøy said this shows car owners are not fully aware of the data their vehicles are collecting. The European Council on Foreign Relations has called on EU policymakers and member state governments to regulate Chinese-made electric cars. They need to clarify whether European civil servants should be allowed to drive Chinese electric vehicles. Should lawmakers, judges, police, or emergency responders be permitted to drive Chinese electric cars? Should these cars be allowed to drive anywhere in Europe? Should access to military facilities, NATO bases, and other critical infrastructure be restricted for Chinese electric vehicles? The report warns that Chinese electric vehicles pose a dual threat to European competitiveness and security. Europeans must therefore decide if they trust Chinese companies to drive the digital and green transition. According to Reuters, sources revealed that the U.S. Department of Commerce plans to propose banning the use of Chinese software in connected vehicles and autonomous vehicles in the coming weeks. The Commerce Department said the proposal is due to concerns about the potential national security risks of connected vehicle technology. If implemented, it would effectively ban Chinese-made autonomous vehicles from road testing in the U.S. Sources added that the U.S. government would also propose banning vehicles equipped with wireless communication modules developed by China from driving on American roads. Automakers and suppliers would need to verify that their connected vehicle or autonomous vehicle software was not developed by a foreign entity of concern like China. The Commerce Department also noted that on July 31st, the White House and the State Department held a meeting with officials and industry leaders from Australia, Canada, the EU, Germany, India, Japan, South Korea, Spain, and the UK. They discussed national security risks associated with connected vehicles and exchanged views on data and cybersecurity risks related to these vehicles and certain components. Last November, some US lawmakers already expressed concerns about Chinese companies collecting and processing sensitive data while testing autonomous vehicles in the US. They questioned 10 major companies, including Baidu, NIO, WeRide, Didi, Chuxing, and Xiaopeng Motors. Based on the latest news, international attention on Chinese-made Chinese-made cars remains focused on overcapacity and quality issues. First, quality problems. Recently, several controversial incidents involving Chinese electric vehicles have surfaced online, such as suspected brake system failures, spontaneous combustion, and electrical leaks. Although users and car manufacturers have different opinions, these incidents have caused serious doubts about the quality of Chinese electric vehicles in society. Experts have come to the conclusion that with China's chips being restricted by the United States, it is challenging for products to be perfect. If there are defects in the products, failures will be common and not isolated cases. After Chinese electric vehicles hit the road, the most alarming issue is their spontaneous combustion. Statistics indicate that on average, there are at least 8 spontaneous combustion incidents involving electric vehicles daily across China. Witnesses have uploaded dramatic scenes online showing thick black smoke rising continuously as entire vehicles catch fire, with intense flames attracting onlookers. Some videos show drivers trapped in burning cars, unable to escape. On August 2nd, a transport truck loaded with BYD Seal electric cars burned on a major road in Jining City, Shandong Province. Online commentators suspected it was another case of BYD's spontaneous combustion. They expressed fear, saying, "It's terrifying. It caught fire before even being sold. This has happened so many times already." Recently, a video online showed an electric car exploding at a charging station in Changsha, with onlookers shouting to urge everyone to run quickly. In Hangzhou, an electric car exploded at an exit of an underground parking lot, and rescue personnel repeatedly warned to be cautious. On August 3rd, according to online news, a chain reaction car accident occurred at Wuma Mountain Scenic Area in Sujiazhuang City, Hebei Province, resulting in multiple cars being burned. It is said that the fire started after a domestic electric vehicle collided and caught fire. Images show a tragic scene with raging fires and smoke billowing into the sky. After the fire was extinguished, several cars were burned down to their frames, including at least 3 large trucks and 2 small cars. One small car's front end was stuck on the roadside, but fortunately did not catch fire. According to statistics from China's National Fire and Rescue Administration, there were 21,000 reported electric vehicle fires in China in 2023, with over 90% caused by battery failures. In addition to spontaneous combustion, some top-tier models often leave users speechless with their quality issues. Come on, close it for me and let me see. I want to use it with peace of mind, but you can't even close it. Close it. You can't close it either. Xiaopeng X9, even the technician can't close the front cover. You've tried several times and still can't close it properly. Look, even when the technician closes it, there's a big gap. Earlier this year, China launched the Xiaopeng X9, touted as its flagship all-intelligent model. Despite being described as top quality, a video showed a user discovering that the front cover of the Xiaopeng X9 couldn't close properly shortly after using it. Even maintenance personnel at the service center tried multiple times but failed to align the front cover with the car body.
Look at this strange thing. Can you guess what it is? The gas pedal fell off. This is so bizarre.
Another online video showed a driver stepping on the accelerator of a Neo car and braking it, exclaiming repeatedly, "This is unbelievable." Some say that the reason Chinese-made electric vehicles are so cheap is due to the use of inferior batteries and cheap materials, leading to substandard quality. They only compete on price, disregarding consumer rights. Some even say that considering the life or death stakes, they would never buy a Chinese-made electric vehicle. Statistics indicate that nearly 70% of Chinese consumers regret buying new energy vehicles. Bloomberg has critically highlighted that despite impressive sale figures for Chinese electric vehicles, the quality issues are significant. In 2018 alone, China recalled 135,700 electric vehicles, representing 10% of total sales, with many cars experiencing spontaneous combustion due to battery module problems. This has led to widespread consumer concern over the reliability of their vehicles. Apart from quality concerns, overcapacity is also causing anxiety among Western companies. Analysts say that China can produce electric vehicles in large quantities due to government subsidies and lower costs than overseas. For example, the battery procurement network is concentrated in China. According to Korean market research agency SNE Research, 6 of the top 10 battery manufacturers for electric vehicles worldwide last year were Chinese companies. About 80% of the core components for batteries, such as cathode materials, are produced in China. Batteries account for 30 to 40% of the manufacturing cost of electric vehicles. According to the International Energy Agency, the average battery price in China is about 80% of that in Europe and the United States. For Chinese electric vehicle manufacturers, steel and other parts can be obtained at low cost, and the government generously provides substantial subsidies and other support for research and development in factory construction. Nikkei Asia pointed out that the automotive industry's capacity utilization rate usually needs to reach around 80% to break even. Still, China's new energy vehicles, including electric vehicles, have a capacity utilization rate of only about 50%. To control China from massively dumping cheap electric vehicles into EU countries, at the beginning of July this year, the EU announced temporary anti-subsidy tariffs on pure Chinese electric vehicles. The tariffs for the three companies selected for sampling are as follows: BYD 17.4%, Geely 20%, SIAT Group 38.1%. For other companies that were not sampled but cooperated with the investigation, the tariff rate is uniformly 21%. For companies that did not cooperate, the tariff rate is 38.1%. Adding the original tariff rate of 10%, this means that the lowest tariff for Chinese car companies like BYD is 27.4%, while for SIAT Group and non-cooperating companies, the highest rate is 48.1%. Recently, videos of Chinese electric vehicles catching fire have been circulating on major social media platforms, which starkly contrast with the Chinese government's claim of the vehicle's superiority, causing market concerns. There are ongoing discussions about the safety of new energy vehicles compared to traditional fuel cars, focusing on whether electric vehicles, besides their environmental benefits, can also match in safety. Commentators have said that Europe and the US have targeted Chinese electric vehicle exports based on price and quality, but these sanctions are manageable for China. They can improve quality and accept high taxes. In reality, experts have concluded that Europe and the US should completely ban the import of Chinese electric vehicles, as they are essentially Chinese Communist Party spies running on city streets.